Hi everyone, welcome to a brand new week, weekday programs, our TNT daily show, checking out the main stories around Thailand. By the time you're watching this, I'm either on a plane or in Bangkok, spending Monday and Tuesday in Bangkok visiting some, you'll probably see in the next couple of days. Anyway, a few bad stories to cover today. May as well cover at least one half-good story. And this is from Household English on their Facebook page. It talks about the orchardization of the Phrom Phong part of Sukhumvit, referring to Orchard Road, I assume, in Singapore, which is a bit of a shopping centre mecca. Well, yes, around this area you've got some very upscale, very nice shopping centres if you're into that sort of stuff. It talks about the opening of the M-Sphere Mall next to the Benjasiri Park on Friday. 10 stories of shopping space with 2 notable floors for food and drinks on G and mezzanine floors. And then a bit further down, talking about the 100 metres or so skywalk stretching between the Phrom Phong BTS station to M-Sphere, which was inspired apparently by the High Line of New York and Pleasant. So not exactly sure what it's talking about there. Maybe it needs a few commas, but let's go and have a bit of a quick look at the new M-Sphere Mall. And it's certainly one of the largest shopping precincts, certainly along Sukhumvit Road. Not too far away, you've got M-Quartier, and another one over the road which starts with E, which I can't remember now, and of course resplendent at this time of the year with a lot of Christmas decorations. But this certainly looks like a very upscale and modern shopping centre at a time when shopping centres are struggling to try and attract people out of their sofas who spend a lot of their time doing shopping, including me, online. So shopping centres fighting back. M-Sphere in Sukhumvit Road in Bangkok, the latest example of that. Let's go to our next story, and BangkokPost.com says 83 Thais stranded in Myanmar's Lao Kang to return on Monday. We've been following the progress of these Thais. I think originally it was about 164 of them who were basically held hostage in these online scam centres near the border of China in Myanmar. It's been taking quite a while to get them back. And another group of 83 Thais previously stranded, set to be flown home on a commercial flight from China this morning. And the 83 Thais were safely evacuated by land from Lao Kang into China. And after going through immigration at the airport, they'll be taken to another location to identify who among them are victims of human trafficking and who had been involved in transnational crimes. The story says the Foreign Ministry thanked all concerned for pooling their efforts to help Thai nationals in trouble abroad. The Thai embassy in Yangon will continue with an investigation to help Thai nationals who may still be in Lao Kang. The Foreign Minister's been a very busy man, also helping to release some more hostages out of Gaza. I think another 6 returned over the weekend. To this story, also in BangkokPost.com, Thailand ready to receive Myanmar war refugees. Now, the background to this generally is that there seems to have been a turn of the tide in favour of the rebel groups in Myanmar against the Myanmar junta. And it seems that the latest outbreak in fighting, a lot of it very close to the borders of both China and Thailand, will result in more refugees. And the story says, confirming the readiness, the minister said yesterday the government was monitoring the situation in Myanmar and calling on parties concerned to cease hostilities and negotiate as soon as possible. And he said, but from now on, if violence increases, there might be refugees going in all directions, not only towards Thailand. And the battlefield was about 10 kilometres from Mae Sot district of the Tak province. And the commander of the Third Army says the ongoing situation in Myanmar has not yet had any impact on Thailand, but if refugees crossed the border, they would receive humanitarian aid. Now, the Thai government's been fairly reluctant in the past to take refugees out of Myanmar. It seems at this stage there's going to be quite an influx of new refugees, certainly crossing that Mae Sot area of the Thai border. But we'll watch the story with interest because I think the conflict in Myanmar is certainly taking a new turn. And to our next story here on TNT, and as usual I apologise for having to refer to a particular substance as broccoli, but you know the reason why. It's about demonetisation on YouTube, but the main thing is I can get the story out to you, and it's covered in the Bangkok Post. And it says, are high times over for weed users? Bill would introduce curbs missing from previous reform efforts. Quite a long story from the Bangkok Post. I'll get to the main issues, which I think start to clarify some of the questions people have asked about the new bill relating to broccoli. And a new broccoli and hemp control bill sponsored by the Public Health Ministry is expected to become law next year to regulate misuse of the plant. Their words, not mine. And the Public Health Minister says the bill will not reclassify broccoli as a narcotic, and its primary aim is to close loopholes that allow people to use broccoli for the wrong purposes. Under the bill, broccoli is still defined as a controlled plant, and any extract of the plant that contains more than 0.2% THC remains listed as a narcotic. Now, that's not necessarily a new definition. That's pretty much been the definition all along, but sort of dismissed by people that wanted to see more deregulation. And the bill will also regulate the use of other parts of the plant that are not listed as narcotics, but still contain some psychoactive substances. And he said the ministry still supports medicinal use but not use for recreational purposes, so those who grow, that one slipped through, even for personal use must have permission. The version of the broccoli and hemp control bill proposed by the Pumjai Thai Party in the previous government allowed a household to grow up to 15 plants, and they merely needed to inform local authorities, but under the new law they would also have to seek permission first. The law will also clarify which venues cannot sell or allow broccoli on their premises. We will not shut down all shops, but they need to comply with the law. The new regulation will not allow them to sell broccoli buds for people to smoke, or even have for sale equipment for customers to smoke at their shops. And in the past, we did not control usage, but with the new law, using broccoli for recreational purposes will be prohibited. And Dr. Cholnan said the bill will set clear criteria for the use of broccoli for medical treatment and venues for using it. Most importantly, it will no longer allow people to grow the plant freely, as medical-grade broccoli should be planted using scientific methods. And the draft also says clearly that people who wish to plant broccoli should get a permit from the authorities first, with further requirements to be issued later under the ministerial regulation. He says he expects the bill to be passed by Parliament and enacted into law by the middle of next year, so expect this year's high season to be particularly high. And currently Thailand exports broccoli extracts, which are used for the production of medicine and cosmetics, worth around 100 billion baht each year. However, broccoli and broccoli-based products are also smuggled into the country illegally, which dealt a blow to local producers. And then in the middle, a little bit of history from Bangkok Post. It says decriminalisation preceded the legislation needed to control and regulate its use, which led to a free-for-all in the industry as businesses, many owned by foreigners, invested in broccoli outlets while users bought weed with little to no medical or consumer guidance. So it looks like at least another 6 months before this bill gets passed. It means another 6 months of the current situation. And we'd like to thank 5 Star Marine at 5starmarinephuket.com. If you'd like to head out on a bespoke charter trip from the island of Phuket, there's also a link in the description below with a special deal for TNT viewers. As we go to our next set of stories, which are all about foreigners coming to some sort of untimely end here in Thailand. Starting with this one from the PattayaNews.com. Italian man murdered in Pattaya village, Thai neighbour arrested. Cause was a trash dispute. Rescue teams and relevant agencies were dispatched to the incident scene. They found a body of Mr. Malazzo Gianluca, a 50-year-old Italian man, and an 80-centimetre iron pipe with bloodstains. And police said Milazzo lived alone and recently had financial issues. The bank had recently foreclosed his residence and his water and electricity cut off. And previously, Milazzo had numerous heated arguments with his neighbour living on the opposite side of his house, which resulted in court action. Then it says a suspect reportedly confessed his wrongdoings, and he was identified as a 55-year-old called Pong Sapat. Apparently there'd been major altercations in the past. Then it says Pong Sapat reportedly was angry at Milazzo for, in his eyes, causing his son to go to jail, and grabbed an iron bar to furiously hit Milazzo while he was in the front of his house. So that all happening just north of Bangkok. We now head to Koh Samui, and the next report from khaosodenglish.com. The French body is found near Koh Samui's rocky waterfall, and the story are clearly translated from the main Khaosod Thai news page, and not particularly well, but we'll go through the main facts. On December the 3rd, Samui police found the body of a young French tourist who had fallen from the upper waterfall after spending all day trying. And it talks about Mr. Ryan Megan, 20 years old, who fell from the Na Muang waterfall too. And 3 French female visitors, friends of Ryan's, were present. According to the Koh Samui tourist police, the women and Ryan climbed up to the higher level of the waterfall, while Ryan went swimming elsewhere. And they couldn't see him after only 5 minutes, so they yelled his name, but there was no response. Ryan's body was discovered in a crack of the rocks in the pool on the that'd be the third tier of the waterfall, around 11:15 a.m. They assisted in the difficult removal of the lifeless body from the waterfall. It took about 3 hours. The waterfalls on Koh Samui this time of the year are pretty treacherous, and I'm sure there's signs up saying not to go near those waterfalls. I think December or November, December are the wettest months in Koh Samui. To this story, and from the PattayaNews.com, Swiss businessman dies after jumping from a Pattaya condo. And the 71-year-old Swiss businessman plunged to his death from a condominium complex yesterday. And the incident occurred at a condominium in the Nong Pru sub-district. And authorities believe the victim of Swiss nationality jumped from the 6th floor of the condominium. Pattaya police said there were no signs of forced entry or struggle in the victim's room, and the door was left open. And friends of the deceased informed police that the victim had a history of unsuccessful suicide attempts. Moving on, and our next story from khaosodenglish.com, and PM orders investigation into German suspect bribing Thai officials. And it says high-ranking Thai officials, including the Prime Minister, have ordered an investigation into a German media documentary that claimed one of 2 foreign suspects involved in child prostitution paid a 1 million baht bribe and escaped. The Prime Minister's given orders to the Ministry of Justice and the Royal Thai Police to carefully look into the matter. Deutsche Welle published a documentary titled Sex Tourism in Thailand, which showed the film team come across evidence of pedophilia crimes, even though the officials say there are no longer any prostitution of minors in the Red District of Pattaya. The documentary also mentioned a German national who was still able to leave the country shortly after his arrest under scandalous circumstances in 2022. And this man told in an interview in Frankfurt, Germany, that he'd paid 1 million baht bribe to leave Thailand for Germany. According to General Surachat Hakpan, who's the Deputy National Police Chief, 2 foreign suspects bought the services of juveniles under the age of 18. One is British, while the other was German. They were later arrested. He also directed that the probe be expanded by the Pattaya police station. It was later revealed that the foreign males had already been granted bail by the court. Meanwhile, the Immigration Bureau banned these 2 individuals since they're not permitted to leave the country. However, when the German guy asked the court for permission to leave the country, the court granted his request. And further down there it says Surachat stated that he's directed a team to do a thorough investigation, including the money pathway, and if a crime is discovered, it must be prosecuted. So we go to some further reporting on this story from BangkokPost.com. And it's titled Police Probing Sex Charge Bribe Claim. And the investigation comes after a recent news documentary, Sex Tourist in Thailand, posted on the Deutsche Welle documentary YouTube channel. Access to the documentary is now blocked in Thailand. Well, that's not quite so, and here's evidence that you can currently watch it. Well, you could at the time I did the news this morning, so I've put a link in the description to that particular YouTube documentary if you'd like to watch it. And it's been put together by Deutsche Welle. Should mention that the gentleman in the video at that stage has nothing to do with the crimes discussed in that documentary. But it goes into quite, well, I suppose, reasonably sordid detail about what happens in Pattaya in the red light district with the bar girl scene. It says the German suspect said he paid about 700,000 baht for bail and his legal fees and another 1 million baht in cash to officials before flying home to Frankfurt 7 days after being charged. And in the documentary, he admitted to having sex with a minor whom he took to his hotel room from the bar. He said he had to flee the country because he was afraid he would be treated unfairly by police. As one example, he said all charges were brought against him in the Thai language. Well, that's sort of standard procedure. All legal proceedings are enacted in the Thai language. If you're a foreigner, it's up to you to get translation. Meanwhile, a List MP from the Move Forward party said the documentary presented factual information on sexual workers, in contrast with the Thai media, which claims there are no prostitutes in Pattaya. As sex workers are illegal, he said, this creates a loophole for authorities to ask for bribes. So there is a sex workers bill being worked on at the moment and sponsored by the Move Forward party, which should see some sort of clarification on the role and the legal rights of sex workers sometime early next year. And with that, we thank you very much for watching. As I mentioned, there's a link in the description both to the Bangkok Post report about broccoli that I mentioned at the start of the program, and also a link to the YouTube video, not sure if it'll be available when you get to it, from Deutsche Welle, as referred to in that last story. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe to the channel. We look forward to seeing you from Bangkok tomorrow.